deep dive. Today, we're really tearing open the Europe East Today Monitor report. Probably the most granular look we have right now at, the security and economic picture across Eastern Europe. We're specifically looking at the state of play after those huge military exercises, what the analysts are calling the post-Zapad redeploy phase.
Right, and this is a deep dive into the practical reality, isn't it? What's actually happening on the ground. We're trying to move, way beyond the political sound bites and just the exercise announcements themselves. Our source material here gives us the nitty-gritty, the precise operational routines, the itemized procurement strategies, and the real localized impacts, on community supply chains all along that flank.
Exactly. Our mission today, pretty simple, really. Give you the shortcut to understanding what actually matters in all this dense info. What are the military desks worried about right now? What are they actually spending their money on?
Okay, so if we look at the summary right at the top, the overall status seems to be captured by this one phrase: routines set, vigilance steady. But the real insight, the thing that kind of sets the stage for our whole discussion, I think, is the concluding thought. Quiet skies aren't luck, they're maintenance.
I like that framing. Yeah. It implies the absence of conflict isn't just, passive de-escalation. It's an active daily grind to keep things working. Does that mean the risks themselves haven't gone down, but the defenses are just working harder to sort of suppress them?
That's precisely the strategic implication. It's active deterrence. And we see that straight away in the operational security picture, starting with the airspace. The report flags a key positive: no fresh Allied airspace breaches overnight, which is great, obviously, but then the source immediately details the sheer amount of effort needed just to maintain that clean sheet.
And that effort means layered defense. We see mentions of active captive combat air patrols. So for the listener, what does an active CIP mean here? Is this just routine peacetime flying, or is it closer to, constant readiness?
Oh, it's constant readiness, especially across the two really critical strategic zones the report specifically names: the Baltic and Carpathian arcs. These are standing patrols, often armed, designed to quickly identify and crucially respond to any intrusion or potential probing aircraft. Think of them as insurance policies, but flying hourly.
Right. And the rules of engagement, the ROE, super critical here. Are they softening up at all now that the big exercises are done?
Not even slightly, no. The source is explicit. The shoot if inside ROE is unchanged. The posture is still absolutely firm. What's interesting, though, is that the main persistent risk they're flagging isn't a kinetic threat like an aircraft crossing the line. It's quieter. It's electronic warfare, EW.
Okay. And it looks like they've pinpointed a daily vulnerability window, that period around sunset. That's when the jamming activity, the EW noise, really seems to spike. The report calls Dusk the prime window for EW and GNSS noise, so GPS interference.
Exactly. We're talking about pretty sophisticated, aggressive spoofing pockets. And they're happening specifically from sunset until late evening. This isn't just, background static. This feels like calculated probing of defenses and civilian systems, too, oftentimes for when visibility is low.
So how does that actually impact, say, a big logistics firm or an airline? They rely completely on GPS, on networked systems.
Well, it forces a huge operational shift, a behavioral change, really. Aviation, trucking, they're required to switch back to degraded mode SOP standard operating procedures because of this short-term interference. Imagine a truck driver who's used GPS for every route for a decade. Now, during that evening window, they have to go back to paper maps, basic analog skills. It's forcing resilience through, manual operation.
That sounds like a major headache, but maybe also a good test of discipline. Are the different security desks sharing what works, their fixes for this EW challenge?
They are, yeah. And this points to a really high-speed cross-border adaptation. The analysts note that the Baltic Black Sea desks, that's a huge stretch of territory, remember, they're circulating a common counter-UAS TTP pack.
TTP, so tactics, techniques, and procedures.
Exactly. It's basically a playbook of real-time fixes. And it's derived directly from analyzing the specific drone probes they actually saw just last week. They're standardizing defense against yesterday's threats very quickly.
That rapid feedback loop, that's core to the whole maintenance idea, isn't it? Okay, let's shift from this operational problem to how they plan to, throw money at it. This security picture must be driving strategic spending, specifically this safe procurement, security, and flank enhancement. What's top of the shopping list?
So we're seeing the first firm purchase notices come through, and the list. It's heavily weighted towards dealing with exactly the problems we've just been talking about. They're prioritizing sensors, jammers, SHORAD, that's short-range air defense repair spares, and crucially, operator and EW training. It's all about resilience and awareness.
Okay, sensors and jammers directly tackle the EW issue. Makes sense. SHORAD, those mobile systems protecting specific points, bases, cities from drones and missiles, that seems logical too. But hang on, if the focus is resilience, hardening existing defenses, why are heavy interceptors also high on the early list? Doesn't buying offensive capable munitions kind of clash with the maintenance, not offense story?
That's a really sharp question, and the analysis tackles it directly. The answer seems to lie in assured deterrence. While the overall strategy is defensive, things like interceptors and drone kits are critical consumables in this environment. And the procurement strategy prefers framework deals over one-offs. This isn't about frantic panic buying, it's about setting up long-term, multi-year supply chains, predictability.
Got it. So it's not just getting the gear now, it's signaling supply certainty to potential adversaries and making sure their own cupboards aren't bare later on.
Precisely. The early tranches emphasize those interceptors, drone kits, EW sets, spares. And critically, these deals come with guaranteed delivery SLAs service level agreements. Those SLAs are vital because, in a high-tension scenario or worse, the ability to resupply fast becomes the absolute bottleneck. Locking in those timelines now is itself a strategic asset.
That paints a really interesting picture of the military spending side. But what about the broader economy along the flank? You've got this constant low-level security noise, this daily EW window.
Yeah.
Is it causing financial panic? Capital flight.
This is maybe the most surprising finding in the financial section. The economic assessment is actually remarkably calm. The three big local currencies, the Polish zloty, PLN, the Hungarian forint, HUF, the Romanian leu, RONN, they're all holding steady range bound, which suggests stability. And that feels quite counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah, why aren't markets freaking out?
Well, the key insight seems to be this. Front-end bond yields, currency movements, they're currently watching EU economic data inflation figures, growth forecasts, more closely than they're watching the security noise. In other words, financial markets seem to perceive this high-tension state not as
And the Ukraine quarters. Always sensitive.
stable is the word used. Periodic inspections are routine, and crucially, humanitarian lanes. They're consistently prioritized over commercial traffic. Airport operations are listed as normal too, but the report does note that NOTAM playbooks, that's notice to airmen, are fully prepped. Meaning, if the strike tempo anywhere nearby blips, even slightly, they can shut down or reroute air traffic almost instantly. They're ready.
That readiness brings us to the SCALE map itself, focusing first on the stakeholders. This is where the dry data gets, well, human. What do different groups actually need from the security side to just function day to day?
It varies a lot, as you'd expect. Residents, they want crisp need-to-act alerts, information that tells them exactly what to do right now, no ambiguity. Logistics companies, they need predictable ETAs, predictable estimated times of arrival. Volatility absolutely kills their business model. Mayors seem highly focused on rumor control, and SMEs, small and medium enterprises, they're watching fuel and insurance costs like hawks, those very tangible operating factors.
Let's pick up on that mayoral concern, rumor control. Why is that so high on their list? Maybe even over fixing potholes.
Because in this kind of environment, uncontrolled rumors could be a simple debris false alarm, could be a misreported troop movement. That kind of thing can spark localized financial jitters or even unnecessary panic movements much, much faster than any actual kinetic threat. Panic paralyzes logistics.
Yeah.
It destabilizes communities. So controlling the information space, that's become a core security function itself.
And the response to all those different needs leads to this operational lesson they flagged. The constraint, flip, C, clarity volume. Less is more, essentially.
Absolutely. The operators learned pretty quickly that fewer, crisper, more authoritative notifications work far better than just a constant drip feed of raw data. Information overload breeds confusion, maybe even panic. It paralyzes people. So disciplined communication is treated as a strategic tool, just as important as the radar systems.
I like the analogy the source uses to sum up this whole approach. It's memorable. Treating the flank like winter ops slow, layered, disciplined. That really captures the cautious, deliberate feel.
Yeah. It suggests accepting the environment is inherently risky, planning for the long haul, for challenging conditions, not just hoping for a quick thaw.
Yeah.
And this layered idea also defines the layers L of vigilance they're tracking.
Right. Divided into micro and macro.
Correct. Micro is about the daily tactical stuff. GNSS advisories, the precise timing of NOTAMs, what's happening right now at the sensor level. Macro, on the other hand, that's the big picture. Alliance credibility, strategic deterrence, political coordination. Both of those layers have to function perfectly, really, to maintain those quiet skies.
But the report's honest. No system's perfect. It tracks critical edge cases E where things get complicated. What specific challenges are they highlighting there?
They're tracking two issues, mainly, that bridge the military and civilian worlds. First is the incredibly serious concern of EW overlap with medevac operations. Think about it. If a civilian ambulance helicopter or a military one is relying on GPS for a low visibility landing, and that signal gets spoofed during that dusky EW window, the consequences are immediate, catastrophic potentially. We're talking direct impacts on survival rates for injured people.
Wow. Okay, that really underlines the need for those jammers and countermeasures we talked about earlier. It's not just abstract defense.
It absolutely isn't. The second challenge they flag is debris false alarms, particularly in low-density rural areas. These aren't just annoyances. They trigger unnecessary scrambles, they drain resources, and they could potentially distract from a genuine threat happening somewhere else. These edge cases, they're the really fine print of maintaining this steady-state vigilance.
Okay, let's try and synthesize this for everyone listening. What have we learned? The situation seems defined by deeply embedded routines, definitely not relaxation. The key technical challenge is localized, timed that Dusk EW GNSS vulnerability. And the strategic response is this layered procurement, heavily focused on operational maintenance, sensors, jammers, SHORAD.
Yeah, the core takeaway is purposeful, probably expensive, stability. They're actively maintaining the operational layers, keeping those buffers like that 20-minute border wait, keeping them honest and enforced. The challenge now is tracking how well this holds up over the next few days. The source actually gives us 3 concrete things to watch, checks for whether this normalized vigilance is really sticking.
Okay, so what should you be watching for specifically in the next, say, 48 to 72 hours?
First, watch those dusk windows. Do they continue to bring repeat EW hotspots? Or do we see maybe more aggressive border-skirting UAVs during these redeployment nights? If those TTP packs, those playbooks, are working, the incident rate should ideally start to drop, or at least shift location, as countermeasures adapt.
Second, follow the money. Watch the sequencing of those safe purchases. Which capital is it? Warsaw, Budapest, Bucharest prioritizes sensor buys first versus SRAD versus munitions. And critically, what are their stated delivery timelines? That sequence tells you a lot about where they perceive the greatest near-term vulnerability.
And finally, number 3, the macro glide. We're waiting for those late-month EU economic data prints to land. Watch how those results affect the front-end financial moves in the zloty, the forint, the lud. If the security posture is truly normalized, the market seems to think, then those currencies should largely ignore any minor border noise and react only to the core economic news. If, however, they suddenly wobble because of a small skirmish report, then we know that perception of stability might be starting to crack, that market reaction. It's probably the ultimate real-time metric of perceived stability right now.